My next guest, Democratic Congressman Ted Deutch from District 22, covering southern Palm Beach County and part of Broward. We began by talking about COVID and the vaccinated versus unvaccinated, mask versus no mask debate as the Delta variant rages.
We stop viewing it as a war between one another and recognize that the only war we should be fighting is the war against COVID and the Delta variant. I don't understand, quite frankly, how it is that this has turned political, but everyone has something at stake here. Our own health, our neighbors, our relatives. That's the way we need to approach it. And we need to stop, starting with the governor, frankly, we need to stop being on attack and in attack mode and start looking for ways to work together to do everything we can to stop the spread and to help keep people safe.
How worried are you that we're going to see another big slowdown in the economy, that we're going to see all sorts of problems that spin out of this? Economy, of course, one of them, but first and foremost, as always, health problems. We're already seeing what's going on in Florida. Overwhelmed hospitals, overwhelmed doctors, overwhelmed nurses, school teachers who are now doing battle with the governor. It's an ugly scene, and the spiral doesn't look good right now.
Right, higher hospitalization rates than we had a year ago when we thought we were going through the worst of it. I worry about all of these things. I worry about the economic impact, but we can all do our part. That the governor keeps taking this confrontational approach and attacking business leaders who want to try to keep their customers and employees safe, and attacking school boards who want to keep kids and teachers safe, and attacking local government leaders who want to take action, not just to help with the health aspect of this, but they know that by working together, we can continue to see our economy continue to flourish. Nobody wants the economy to suffer, and we're going to continue to do well if we're all just taking common sense actions to keep one another safe.
You touched on it just there, but your bottom line message to Floridians before we move on.
My bottom line message is I understand how political everything is, but on this one, let's just wear masks to keep one another safe. And if you're not vaccinated, I don't want to pass judgment. I want to encourage you to go get vaccinated. That's the important thing for people to do now. It can help save their lives, their families' lives, and it'll help get this thing under control sooner. That's going to benefit everybody.
Congressman, let's turn to the spending plans you and your colleagues and Republicans will tackle when you head back to Washington next week. A $1 trillion infrastructure plan passed by the Senate. Progressives in the House say, unless we get our $3.5 trillion plan attached to that, we're not going to go on infrastructure till we start pouring in money into human capital. The $3.5 trillion would pay, as you well know, expanded family leave. It would pay for universal pre-K, for free college tuition and the like. Where are we going to be? Are we going to be at loggerheads, or are we going to see real movement first on infrastructure? And do you want to split them, or is it all in for you? If you don't get one, you won't go for the other.
Well, look, we're going to pass a bipartisan infrastructure bill. That's going to happen. Whether it happens next week or happens in a few months, we have to be clear about the level of accomplishment here. What's so frustrating is that we're missing the opportunity to focus on the largest investment in public transit ever. And for the state of Florida, over $13 billion for bridges and for highways, over $3 billion for public transportation, over $1 billion for airports. That passed with over 60% of the US Senate. Our two senators, I guess, put their partisanship ahead of this bipartisan effort that President Biden helped to achieve. So we're going to pass that in the House, and it's going to mean a lot. It's something we've been talking about doing for decades. And finally, President Biden and his leadership helped bring Democrats and Republicans together in order to accomplish it. Look, the rest of this, I do think that we should be investing more in services, in Medicare services. We should be investing in pre-K. We should be investing in rehabbing and modernizing all of our VA hospitals, making sure that we're doing everything that we can to reduce prescription drug prices. These are all really important, and I know that's going to be something we're debating next week, but there will be a bipartisan deal in the House on infrastructure like there was in the Senate. It's going to go to President Biden's desk. It's going to be a great accomplishment for the president and for bipartisanship and for what real leadership looks like.
On the bigger package, the $3.5 trillion plan, there's talk about raising taxes on the wealthy, on corporations. The argument's been anybody at 400,000 or less, no tax hike there. You've heard Republicans already talk about expanded leave in the package, universal pre-K, free college tuition, on and on the list goes. Some of them have called it socialism. What do you say to that?
Well, the loudest arguments on these investments in the American people, in creating American jobs, are being made by my colleagues who were the loudest proponents of giving a $2 trillion tax cut to the largest corporations in our country and to the wealthiest Americans. I believe firmly, and I think this is an opinion shared by most, that if we have the opportunity to actually right that ship, to make sure that we're doing something that benefits everyone, that benefits our economy, that benefits our communities, that actually makes increasing one's own opportunities more likely. That's consistent with who we are and who we've always been as a country, and I support those efforts. And I know most people think that if we can do something that's going to ensure that taxes don't go up on anyone earning $400,000 or below, and we can do something that's going to benefit the economy as a whole, we're all going to do better off. But instead of hoping that maybe some dollars will trickle down, we're going to see the benefits lift everybody up.
Sir, in our time remaining, let's turn overseas. First to our neighbor. We'll talk Haiti and Afghanistan. We've all seen the tragedy of the latest earthquake. Can you give us an update where we are in terms of aid relief, what the federal government can do to help the people in Haiti?
Yeah, it's such a really sad moment for Haiti, and I'm in regular contact with Haitian leaders in our community. The diaspora is such an important part of our community here. I visited Food for the Poor the other day. They're sending airlifts down to Haiti. We've had House Foreign Affairs Committee briefings on a regular basis about USAID, the Agency for International Development, and the role that we can play. We're going to be there helping for a while, and that's necessary after the earthquake, and then right on the heels of the earthquake, this terrible storm, the tropical storm. It's important that we're there for our neighbors, and we will be, and we're going to help rebuild and help deal with the human suffering that we've seen these images of, and that have troubled everyone. Everyone who cares about people has to be moved by these images, and we're going to be there to help.
Let's finally turn to Afghanistan. You're the chairman for the subcommittee on the Middle East, North Africa, and global counterterrorism on the House Foreign Affairs Committee. We've seen the Taliban takeover of Afghanistan precipitated after the withdrawal of U.S. troops. This is what, in the Wall Street Journal, Ryan Crocker, who served as U.S. ambassador to Afghanistan during the Obama administration, he's worked under Democratic and Republican presidents, as you well know. He said in part, quote, "I think it's damning for him, President Biden, to have created this situation in his first significant action as commander-in-chief. It's an unforced error, and as an American, I'm deeply concerned." Respond to that critique and the chaos we see in Afghanistan.
Listen, everyone's troubled by the images that we've seen coming out of Afghanistan. The fact that the Taliban has taken over the country, as you point out, our subcommittee deals with international counterterrorism. This is something we're going to be dealing with for a while. That said, there will be time for us to figure out, and we're already at work on this on the Foreign Affairs Committee, to figure out exactly what happened and whether there were intelligence failures and how this decision was made. But the fact is, most people recognize that we're not going to stay in Afghanistan forever. Most people recognize that when the president of Afghanistan chose to flee and the Afghan army laid down their arms, that it proved that we could not have been there forever. What's important now, and what I've been focused on, what my staff has been focused on, is making sure that the Americans who have been in Afghanistan, the diplomats, the aid workers, the contractors, all of the American citizens who are there have to be brought home. That is a priority. And for everyone who partnered with them, all of the Afghans who partnered with them, I wish that we could all get on the same page here. And some of my Republican colleagues who have chosen this moment to start demonizing immigrants, particularly Afghans who work so closely with us. We need to be on the same page. The president is committed to leading with our allies from around the world in focusing on providing that assistance, getting people out. And the last thing I know, this is a moment where we have to acknowledge again the contributions that so many have made in service to our country in Afghanistan. That they understand. We continue to be grateful. I'm grateful to Congressman Mast for his service. I'm grateful to my colleagues who served in Afghanistan and to the families whose loved ones gave their lives in service to our country. They continue to be in our thoughts, especially at this time. We've got to help get the Americans out, get our partners out, and do everything we can to ensure that happens.
We'll be back with more in a moment.